So for a Spinny damage inspection project, we had 4 different entities. Okay. One was let's say I'll start from here. Okay. First one was me. Let's say Devanshu's office. Okay. So here, let's say we were the architect of the project.
Hmm. Hmm.
Full control, ownership. Okay. मान लो प्रोजेक्ट ओनर था मैं एंड दिस इज यू कैन कंसीडर दिस एज माय मैक मशीन. ये मेरा लोकल मैक मशीन था जिसके थ्रू बाय चांस मैक मशीन या एट
Okay.
ऑफिस मशीन्स मान लो कि
Hmm.
जो
Hmm.
इंटरनल प्रोसेसिंग होती थी. ठीक है. या
Hmm. Hmm.
ऑफिस मशीन्स लिख देता हूँ कि ऑफिस के जो
ठीक
सिस्टम्स
है.
थे वहां पे ये काम होता था. ठीक है. ऑफिस मशीन ने क्या किया. ऑफिस मशीन से हमने एक एनोटेशन इंस्टेंस क्रिएट किया. ठीक है. So this was the annotation instance which we created. So सबसे पहले हमने एक annotation instance create किया on AWS. Okay. This was Amazon Web Services, AWS. ठीक है. ये दोनों ही instances are on AWS
Okay.
on the same account. ठीक है. ये जो दोनों हैं
इंस्टेंस बोले तो एप्लीकेशन ही है ना, काइंड ऑफ.
VM virtual machine. ठीक है. It's a
हम्म.
server. Instance means virtual server. ठीक है.
ठीक है.
So this was on Amazon Web Services. It was an EC2 instance. Call it as annotation instance. ठीक है. यहाँ पे annotation होती थी. It was an
हम्म.
annotation instance. Sorry, this is a EC2 server. ठीक है. This was used for annotation by annotators. All over India से annotators connect करते थे on this server. And on this, the SaaS API. The SaaS API was also running here. ठीक है. There were 2 things on the EC2 server. There was a SaaS API also. Now, so globally, let's say from India, different regions in India, okay, ये थे annotators. These annotators were my interns connecting across different regions, different states in India,
हम्म.
different
हम्म.
states in India. Okay. वहां से annotators आते थे. Okay. And they were working 24/7. 24/7 access to these. So you have to ensure that you use the correct instance so that it is not too much costly and you provide access to them 24/7. Okay. So these annotators were accessing this instance. Okay. And what they were doing data labeling activities. Data labeling. Okay. And what is data labeling? कि उनको images मिली और images के ऊपर उन्होंने मार्क किया with human intelligence कि whether this is a damage or a scratch or a paint issue, whatever it is, or what panel it is. So they were doing data labeling. Okay.
Okay. So
Now, so once the data labeling was done, there was this data set here which was being generated. So there was this local database, local data set. ठीक है. तो कंसिडर करते हैं यहीं पे हमारे पास एक लोकल डीबी भी थी, द डेटा सेट. ठीक है. जो एनोटेटेड डेटा सेट जनरेट हो रहा है. कंसीडर डीएस. डीएस स्टैंड्स फॉर डेटा सेट्स. ठीक है. डीएस इज डेटा सेट. ओके. अब इसी
okay. So
सर्वर को स्पिनी वाज आल्सो एक्सेसिंग द सेम सर्वर. ओके. लेट मी कॉल देम एज स्पिनी. They were Spinny across different regions. They were also accessing from here. Spinny office. ठीक है. Spinny office was also accessing the same server. So they used to send images to this server and they used to get the damage inspection, damaged areas, contours modeled by AI. So who was responding it? This SaaS API. SaaS API was responding back to Spinny. Okay.
Okay.
What I used to do, I used to collect data from here. Okay. So I used to collect data from here. So my ops were first was collect data from annotation instance. यहाँ लिखता हूँ. So what I was doing, my operations were one, collect data from annotation instance. ठीक है. So you're clear what is annotation
Yes,
instance? This is annotation instance, an EC2 server, a virtual machine. ठीक है. What is this? This is a virtual server. Virtual server. You can consider this as virtual server 1. And this was virtual server 2. Very costly. ठीक है. You'll get to know the instance type also. ये GPUs वाले थे. The virtual server 2 was a GPU server.
Okay.
Okay. So I think 8 GPUs. It was a good configuration. I'll tell you the name of the instance when we get into the video. I'm just not able to recall it right now, but when we'll go through with the video, we'll get to know what is that virtual server 2. ठीक है. So
ठीक
I'll
है.
make a print screen of this और फिर उसके बाद हम इस पे फिर बाद में mark करते जाएंगे so that you will have a clear architecture. So I used to collect data from annotation instance. ठीक है. And everything was in Git. ठीक है. So data assembled at GitHub. So I've already shared the GitHub repo with you. Okay. So
Yes.
consider that repo. There were 2 branches. One was a annotation branch, one was a training branch. Okay. Then third, what I did, I used to train the model on training server. Training server is VS2. VS2 is virtual server 2. Okay. So we were doing this. Oh, sorry. On virtual server 2. So this was the training instance. Training instance where we had GPUs. We'll get to know the instance type in a minute. Okay.
Okay.
What I used to do, I used to connect with this one. Okay. And there was Git at one place. So I'll mark it here. Suppose this was GitHub's space. Okay. I was doing everything with GitHub. Let's say here I had GitHub. Okay.
Okay.
So I I have set up this EC2 instance 1. Then the images were generated on EC2 instance. The annotated data was collected on GitHub. Then from GitHub, this training instance used to collect data from GitHub, train the model, and send back the model. So it used to get data from GitHub and send model back to GitHub. Okay. So what we used to do, get data from GitHub, train the model, and send model back to GitHub. Okay, so this was happening here. Okay, from that training instance. So now once the data is on GitHub, that model was sent back to this server. Okay, the model was sent here, which Spinny was using. Latest model versions was sent from GitHub to the EC2 server. Models,
Oh.
trained models. Okay, trained models. Trained models was sent from GitHub to virtual server 1. Why we had two different servers? Because virtual server 2 was very expensive. We cannot run it all day. It used to charge 10,000 rupees for an hour approx. So
Oh.
we used to train the model in 1.5 hour, pay around 10,000-20,000 rupees per day. And then we used to stop that virtual server 2. And that exported model, which is the trained model, because annotators were continuously annotating the data. So at an instance of time, let's say I came to office, I've asked my team to collect the latest, commit the latest data to GitHub. Then I used to train the model, and I'm going to export that new model version on GitHub, and I used to close the instance. I have not given access of this virtual server 2 to anybody. Only I had access to it. Okay, the code and everything, only I had access to it. My team and labeler, Spinny, everyone had that access to EC2 server, which is virtual server 1 only. Nobody has access to this virtual server 2. Okay.
Okay.
Now, so this is how the system, the design looks.
सर प्री प्रोसेसिंग इमेजेस क्लीन वगैरह सब मॉडलिंग का ही पार्ट है जो आप इस सर्वर पे करते थे वर्चुअल सर्वर 2.
Yes, on virtual server 2. All that modeling, AI modeling, everything was happening here. The AI modeling part was happening here. All that, metrics, evaluations, everything was being done here.
और ये जो SaaS API है that is using the latest trained model to serve their request.
Yes.
Let's train model.
Yeah. So all AI modeling, metrics, graph, evaluations, everything was happening on virtual server 2. And then we used to export that results back to GitHub, the final results, the models, and the accuracy, precision, mean average precision, what all we were measuring, we were doing it here, and then we were forwarding it to virtual server 1. Okay. So this is how the structure looks like. Okay, I believe this is clear.
Yes, sir. Clear.